Well, I'm back from New York City from the Earth Tower, so let's go over what happened. To kick off the weekend, MetaZoo had its first ever gala with the MetaZoo Foundation on Friday. Attendees gathered at the Chelsea Music Hall for a night of partying and drinks. During the event, Bailey and Mike jumped on eBay Live to announce the sale of the gala boxes, and these contained 3 native packs with the gala stamp. It also contained a Sam Sinclair promo that was done by Isaac Sky Lee. And during the eBay live stream, these sold out very quickly. However, they were still available for many hours on the MetaZoo eBay store for $100 plus shipping. Original art done by indigenous artists was shown off at the gala as well, and we do recognize some of the art as the art used in the serialized rares that we've seen so far for native. So it is very likely that the art that we haven't seen we will see on serialized cards that are going to be pulled from native. And alongside the alternate art for the Squash Blossom necklace, we did see a actual representation of the Squash Blossom necklace. I do wonder if there's going to be a secret rare in native that may be redeemable for that necklace. The Earth Tower kicked off the next day on Saturday, April 15th in Brooklyn. Dia was set up at the merch table at the event. At the merch table, you could buy lanyards, a pink mess plushie or pin, hats, playmats, jerseys, and native booster boxes. As a spectator, the only way to get the Earth Aura and Earth Tower promos was to purchase the $150 bundle on the MetaZoo marketplace before the event. Additional promos were not given out at the event, making this Earth Aura and Earth Tower much more rare than its water counterparts. Afton, Isaac Sky Lee, and Michael Peckham were signing both days at the event with lines that almost never died down, and this was my first time meeting Isaac and Michael at an event. And at the end of day 2, if you got a card signed from each artist, you were awarded a spoiler pack per artist. MetaZoo unveiled a new banner at the event featuring 10 tower symbols. Sorry, Light. These are the symbols used on the merchandise sold at the events, so we'll be seeing a lot of these this year. Also on the banner is a series of beasties, and there's a lot to unpack here. We see Mishi Peshu and Loveland Frogman from the Water Tower, Cinco Salmon Pink Mess representing Earth. We also see a bunch of familiar beasties representing the other towers. However, the notable takeaways here are the chibis. We already know that Chibi Squonk will be featured for the Forest Tower plushie. The same goes for Exploding Rabbit for Flame and the Monster of Partridge Creek for Frost. The Frost Tower will likely be this winter after Caster's Cup 2023. And new chibis we haven't seen include Boogeyman, Mike the Headless Chicken, and Flatwoods Monster. Personally, I can't wait to get my hands on these chibi plushies. Boogeyman and Mike the Headless Chicken are going to be amazing. Now on day 1, 148 casters duked it out to make it to the top 32. There were 7 rounds, each allotting 50 minutes to play 3 games. And I saw a bunch of familiar faces from the Water Tower and a bunch of new faces competing in the Earth Tower. Many of the games could be caught on the main tables during the Twitch stream hosted by Emilio and J. Logan Dick. And the casters that made it to the top 32 cut in alphabetical order are Abel Jacoby, Ben Ritt, Dylan Tran, Easton Evans, Edward Chalupa, Esther Ellis, Evan Andriella, Giuseppe Pucci, Herman Herrera, Isaac Garcia, Jason Weirson, Jerry Miller, Johnny Dunn, Jonathan Eiler, Jordan Heiss, Ken Adams, Kevin Liu, Liam Pfeiffer, Logan Schneider, Luis Perez, Mario Gonzalez, Michael Galarza, Michael Beaumont, Nicholas Blandon, Noah Duncan, Peter Baiocho, Russell Kenny, Ryan Miller, Steven Silverman, Taylor Hassel, Terry Miller, and Zach Hampson. On day 2, round 1 matchups included Michael Galarza versus Steven Silverman with Steven taking the win, Edward Chalupa versus Kevin Liu with Kevin moving on, Peter Baiocho and Liam Pfeiffer with Liam continuing, Isaac Garcia versus Giuseppe Pucci with Giuseppe moving on, Nicholas Blandon versus Luis Perez with Luis going forward, Jason Weirson versus Michael Beaumont with Michael moving on, Terry Miller versus Johnny Dunn with Johnny moving forward, Dylan Tran versus Herman Herrera with Herman going to the next round, Esther Ellis versus Easton Evans with Easton taking the win, Evan Andriella versus Taylor Hassel with Evan moving forward, Ben Ritt versus Jonathan Eiler with Ben moving on to the top 16, Ken Adams versus Noah Duncan with Ken moving on, Mario Gonzalez versus Zach Hampson with Zach moving on, Russell Kenny versus Abel Jacoby with Abel taking the win, Jerry Miller versus Ryan Miller with Ryan moving on, and Logan Schneider versus Jordan Heiss with Logan moving on. In round 2, we we had Steven Silverman versus Kevin Liu, and Kevin took the win. Liam Pfeiffer with Giuseppe Pucci and Liam taking the win. Michael Beaumont versus Luis Perez with Luis moving on. Herman Herrera versus Johnny Dunn. Herman took the win on that one. Evan Andriella versus Easton Evans with Evan moving on. Ken Adams and Ben Ritt with Ken taking the win. Abel Jacoby and Zach Hampson with Abel moving on. Ryan Miller versus Logan Schneider with Ryan moving to the top 8. In round 3, we had Kevin Liu versus Liam Pfeiffer with Kevin taking the win. Herman Herrera versus Luis Perez, and Herman beat out Luis on that one. Ken Adams versus Evan Andriella with Evan taking the win. Abel Jacoby versus Ryan Miller, and Abel moved on to the top 4. In round 4, we had Kevin Liu versus Herman Herrera, and Herman beat out Kevin. Evan Andriella versus Abel Jacoby, with Abel taking the win. As we move on to round 5 to solidify the standings for the top 4, we had Evan Andriella and Kevin Liu, with Evan taking 4th place and Kevin taking 3rd. Abel Jacoby versus Herman Herrera, with Herman taking 2nd and Abel taking 1st. Abel was declared the winner of the first Earth Tower. However, the journey didn't end there. In the final match between Herman and Abel, a bad call was made, which caused Herman to then concede, making Abel the winner of the Earth Tower. Because of this, Abel and Herman were both called back to the table to play a 4th game without their side decks. The winner of that 4th game would then determine who the true Earth Tower caster would be. Now in that 4th game, Abel was still able to take the win and become the first ever Earth Tower caster. And this is a momentous occasion for both MetaZoo and Abel. A little over a month prior, Abel proved his mettle as a caster by taking 2nd place in the Water Tower. He then moved on to win the next tower. After all was said and done, prizing was handed out to all of the top 32. This included exclusive mats, hats, tower building promos, as well as cash and product prizing. 1st through 3rd place also had all of their travel expenses covered by MetaZoo. In order, our top 32 casters for Earth Tower are: in 32nd place, Jonathan Eiler; in 31st, Noah Duncan; in 30th, Jordan Heiss; in 29th, Taylor Hassel; in 28th, Edward Chalupa; 27th, Russell Kenny; 26th, Jason Weirson; 25th, Dylan Tran; 24th, Isaac Garcia; 23rd, Pierre Bioko; 22nd, Jerry Miller; 21st, Terry Miller; 20th, Nicholas Blandon; 19th, Mario Gonzalez; 18th, Esther Ellis; 17th, Michael Galarza; 16th, Steven Silverman; 15th, Easton Evans; 14th, Zach Hampson; 13th, Johnny Dunn; 12th, Giuseppe Pucci; 11th, Michael Beaumont; 10th, Logan Schneider; 9th, Ben Ritt; in 8th, Luis Perez; in 7th, Ryan Miller; 6th, Liam Pfeiffer; 5th, Ken Adams; 4th, Evan Andriella; 3rd, Kevin Liu; 2nd, Herman Herrera; and 1st, Abel Jacoby. I'd also like to say a special thanks to the staff that attended the event to make sure it ran smoothly. To the tournament organizer, Fajir, and to the judges, Colt Chibigo Hayes, Trey Dempsey, Gabriel Martinez, Justin Schroeder, Darren Shemak, Zachary Joy, Elliot Evans, Patrick K, and Zeke Ramirez. Also a special thanks to Dio, Ted, and Andy for being there to facilitate the event and make sure that everything else ran smoothly. Much like the Water Tower, this was an amazing event to attend. Everything went very smoothly without a single disqualification. And the venue choice was very interesting. It was an art gallery that hadn't fully been set up. Really, all that was there was the lighting, and that was the only thing that went wrong: the lighting. I would imagine that the venue was checked out in the daytime, but as soon as nighttime hit, the lighting was very bad. Some tables had no light whatsoever, and casters were taking out their phones to use the flashlight to read the cards. All of the lighting in the venue was track lights with directional spotlights like you'd expect in an art gallery. But overall, the casters did a great job and overcame that obstacle. And it was great to see a bunch of familiar faces from Ohio and a bunch of new faces in the community. I really appreciate all of you that approached me to introduce yourself and took some time out of your day to talk with me. Meeting the community is the highlight of the trips that I've taken this year. I'd also like to shout out all of the content creators that were at the Earth Tower. Over the coming days, if they hadn't beat me to it while I've been editing this video, Harley and Termentic will both have videos out detailing their experiences at the Earth Tower. Also keep an eye on Meta Talk, which features Logan Schneider and Herman Herrera. They both did very well in this event. Metastanky from Podcast in a Bottle was also competing, so keep an eye on their podcast if you're not subscribed. It's a really good podcast. Esther Ellis, who does the Towers podcast, which is amazing. It reminds me of Radiolab. I highly suggest that podcast. Esther also competed in the Earth Tower, taking second place on day 1, moving into the top 32. Links to the latest episodes of all of their podcasts are in the description below, so you can find those easier. Please check them out and subscribe. After going to the first 2 Tower events, I can say that this is going to be a great year for competitive MetaZoo play. There's a lot of excitement around this format, with casters needing to think outside the box to compete at the Towers. And there's always room for improvement, so I can't wait to see how the Towers morph over the coming year and how the next cycle for the Towers is going to be different. Well, that's everything that we needed to recap for the Earth Tower. If you were at the event, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the event. And if you weren't at the event, but you watched the Twitch stream, let me know how that went below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.